We're used to using the graphical user interface of our computer every day, where we have a set of windows or tabs and we use our mouse to point and click, drag and drop, or double click to navigate through folders. Well, we can also take a step behind that graphical user interface to use the command line instead, which is where we type words as instructions to tell the computer what to do. With the computer carrying out these commands on our behalf, it means we don't have to sit and manually perform each instruction in real time. The computer is almost infinitely faster than we are and completely reliable to circumnavigate any risk of human error. For example, you can imagine how long it might take to select certain photographs from a gallery, drag them across to a new folder and then rename each one. But with the right commands, the computer can potentially do this for us in less than a second. Another benefit to this is that we don't even have to type out each command individually. We can write an entire set of instructions in advance, called a script, and execute that script in the background while we do something else, like make a cup of coffee. Some systems can break those commands up and send them to multiple parts of the computer to be carried out simultaneously and further increase that speed advantage we discussed earlier. The script could be scheduled to run at certain times. It could automate a routine that normally you'd have to regularly carry out yourself. It could be set to monitor a sensor and then trigger an email notification when activated. There are entire languages just for scripting, such as Python or Bash. Of course, one of the more vital points is that when we write code for something useful, we can send that code to other users who can therefore run those instructions on their systems too. This is effectively what programs and apps are. Unfortunately, however, it's also what computer viruses are. We need to type our commands into what's called a shell. On Mac computers, this is launched from an application called Terminal that you can just open as a window. On Microsoft Windows, you might recognize the command prompt, but we're not going to deal with MS-DOS today. Some low-level operating systems or classic computers, such as the Commodore 64 and the BBC microcomputer, simply boot up directly into this command line and don't have the desktops and icons that we're used to using on our smartphones and laptops today. Whenever you see a Hollywood movie with a computer hacker wizard typing onto a black screen with green text, they're just using this command line that we're talking about here. The most common Linux shell is Bash, which is an acronym for the Born Again shell in reference to Stephen Bourne. There are other shells too, such as the Korn shell, the C shell, and the Z shell. I'll probably go into the story of these in another session. It's worth pointing out that you can actually code without using the command line, by using text editors or coding studios instead, but we're not going to deal with those now either.